It's you again. What is it now? Do you want a statement, or, What do you want? Oh. Oh! A recap. Yes, I suppose I could do that. Where to start? I guess I should start at the beginning. Since the conception of man, they have always existed. I mean, not all of them. That would make any sense. Some were created after certain historical events, but they're primordial fears. They've been around since the dawn of man. Talking, of course, about the fears, the entities. Some consider them gods, but I've always seen them as a sort of energy or force. These entities are direct manifestations of fear. They range from the basic fears, such as the fear of the dark, to more complex and complicated ones, like the fear of being watched or followed. These entities cannot directly exist or interact with our plane of existence. I believe if they did so, reality as we know it would completely distort into something unrecognizable. Due to the entities being unable to directly interact with our world, they have found other ways to bleed into it. The effects they have on reality can range from the strange behavior of animals and insects, to weird things happening inside of buildings or areas, to people themselves being corrupted by them. The people that are corrupted by the entities are granted strange and unnatural abilities. These people, if you can really call them that, are commonly referred to as avatars. Avatars are rarely described as friendly. The majority of them live to serve the entity they were touched by. The way in which they serve them varies, but all of them inflict some sort of fear or pain on the general public. The fear they inflict serves the purpose of feeding the entity they align with. It's not entirely known how this works, but one thing is certain. There is a price for refusing to feed the entities. The entities are most famously categorized by Smirke's list of 14. Robert Smirke was an architect famous for designing buildings with anomalous properties. He categorized the entities into 14 separate fears. The buried, the hunt, the slaughter, the flesh, the corruption, the stranger, the spiral, the end, the dark, the eye, the vast, the desolation, the lonely, and the web. The entities or fears are the direct cause of any and all supernatural happenings. Suppose that is all the backstory you need. The majority of this is subtext to what I'm going to talk about. The story I'm going to tell you begins in 2016. I was a regular college student who worked for a local news station in Toronto. My work consisted mostly of writing news articles on things going on in the city. However, the day it all started was different. I finally got to write about something that I was passionate about, the supernatural. I was writing an article about a haunted building or something along those lines, and I decided I needed a coffee. The week this all happened, I had been plagued by dreams of a tall, dark shadow standing over me in my sleep. This is worth mentioning because that day I was attacked by an entity known as the Figure. The Figure beat me within an inch of my life, but I was saved by someone. I was saved by an avatar of the eye, someone I would soon know very well. Bethelda Corner, the Archivist. After I gave my statement, I returned home. It wasn't the same though. I couldn't stay there after all that had happened. I went back to the institute and pleaded for a job. Beth begrudgingly accepted and I began working there. 3 years went by and I learned an incredible amount from Beth. Everything was going good. It wasn't until a man came in to give a statement. And, well, he killed Beth. I'm not proud of what I did to the being formerly known as Marshall Gates, but he was too dangerous to be left alive. After Beth's death, I was so overcome by feelings of guilt and anger that I began hunting down and killing malicious avatars. I did so for a few months before anything went wrong. I don't remember many specifics, but I do remember hunting down an avatar of the slaughter and coming face to face with a hunter. The only other thing I remember is a really big boom and everything going dark. While I wasn't dead, I wasn't alive either, and I had a choice to make. I could either reject what had been happening to me over the past 3.5 years and die, or I could accept it, become the Archivist, and take up Beth's mantle. So I did. I emerged from a pile of rubble with a few extra eyes, and that was that. A while after that, I ran into the figure again. I caught it slaughtering a family just outside of Quebec, and I decided it was time to put it down. The confrontation was short but intense. I was able to overpower it, and right as I was about to finish the job, I saw into its head. I saw that it wasn't an it. I saw there was still a person underneath all of that hunger and fear and void. There was still a person, an academic by the name of Ender. I saw his entire past. I saw his life flash before my eyes, and in that moment, I decided I couldn't do it. I couldn't kill an innocent person, so I decided to do something else. Something that would save him, but might cause some issues down the line. I erased his memories. Everything from the moment he became the figure to right now. Suppose I fucked it up a bit because he couldn't remember anything besides his very early life. Ender fell into a coma for 3 months after that. In the meantime, I met an avatar of the desolation. It was extremely hostile and almost rabid. Her name was Finn. Did the same thing for them that I had done for Ender. And the three of us, once Ender woke up, began picking up the pieces left by Beth. It went on like that for another 3 years until Finn decided to take a trip. Ender and I started to notice a rise in malicious avatars in the area close by the Institute. Fearing an attack on us to be imminent, we retreated to Institute Site A-2, codenamed The Bunker. The time we spent in isolation there quickly began to take its toll on both of us, but mainly Ender. After noticing how weak I had become, Ender was worried I wouldn't be able to protect myself if we were attacked. So he began giving me more and more statements. The older the statement, the less it sustained me. Pretty soon, they weren't doing anything at all. Ender was getting more and more worried about my health and decided to take action. He forced me to extract a very powerful and emotional statement from the deepest depths of his subconscious. The statement was incredibly sustaining for me, but having it forcefully taken seemed to negatively affect Ender. Not too long after, I noticed Ender's mental state deteriorating. I stumbled across an old note left by Beth. The note detailed a very rare illness that can occur when a statement a subject had forgotten about was forcefully extracted by the Archivist. The illness was rightfully titled Statement Fever. I let Ender know about it and headed back to the main institute to look for a statement that detailed the cure. However, while I was gone, the bunker was attacked by agents of the dark and the flesh. Ender barely managed to slip inside of the panic room before it was too late. As soon as I saw these events unfold, I got back to the bunker as fast as I could. Luckily, Ender was safe, but the bunker was completely destroyed. Every statement, artifact, and possession inside of it was either stolen or burnt. After the attack, Ender and I returned to the Institute. Finn arrived home shortly after, and things carried on as normal. Some months went by, and Finn began to act more and more like their old self. They were depressed, unmotivated, and unwilling to work at all. So to pick up Finn's slack, I hired an intern named Elix. Ender and I tried to keep the entities hidden from them, but somehow a book was left out detailing every single thing that was really going on. We managed to convince Elix to stay after a minor freakout, and that was that. We had a new member of our incredibly dysfunctional family. The cure for Ender's statement fever was not something we could really provide, but by some miracle he appeared to beat it without needing the cure. This, however, was a lie. Since the moment Ender had contracted statement fever, it began burning down the wall I had put up inside of his mind. The same wall that kept the figure at bay. Ender began acting more and more malicious. He would gaslight Elix and I. He started lying about what he was doing in his spare time, and for whatever reason, no matter how hard I tried, I couldn't watch him. It was like he was completely hidden from the eye. The last straw was when someone came in to give their statement. Their name was Pan, and they had been experiencing the effects of the lonely. I offered them a job and a place to stay so that they could be shielded from the lonely's effects, but Ender had a different approach. Ender gaslit them and told them I was lying. He fed them the lonely. Of course, I couldn't prove it, and anytime I questioned him about it, he swore he did nothing with a sword. I was at a loss. At least until I found a statement that had a message etched into it. The message was from an avatar of the spiral, known as the Distortion. The message told me that it had some information regarding my situation, and asked me to come to a building on the other side of the city. I was reluctant, but I went. The Distortion agreed to tell me what I wanted to know, for a price. A statement. Case 0010. I said that I would need to read it first, but I could give it the statement. Then confirmed what I had been suspecting for weeks. Ender was purposefully hiding information, purposefully blocking my vision. Ender was lying. I sat on the information the Distortion had given me for about a week before deciding to tell Elix. I explained to them the deal I had made and told them it was about the time I was supposed to hand over the statement. The two of us read it, and the contents of the statement described a ritual item, a pencil. We decided the information was too dangerous to give to the Distortion and locked it away. When we returned to my office, the Distortion was waiting for us. It threatened Elix and demanded I give it the statement. I wasn't going to let Elix die, so I gave it the statement. After that, I didn't really know what else to do. Elix and I informed Finn about Ender, and the three of us devised a plan. Elix and Finn were to distract Ender and get him out of the archives while I snuck into his office and removed whatever was causing my powers to weaken. Ender, however, saw right through the plan, shot Finn, and forced me to confront him. We had a small fight, and I'll be honest, he kicked the shit out of me. He forced me to return his memories to him, and when I did, the figure was back. He disappeared in front of me, and that was the end of it. Months went by, and we heard nothing. Nothing about avatars, nothing about the Distortion, and nothing about Ender. It was quiet. One morning, Elix came into my office and told me Finn had somehow managed to leave, but not before burning a small amount of the archives. I was hurt by this, but moved past it. Elix and I spent weeks researching for any signs of anything Avatar related, but came up with nothing. At least until I saw a news article flash in my mind. 4 teens found dead in Toronto High School. After extensive research, we figured out what was behind it. A very powerful avatar of the flesh known as the Butcher. We set our sights on tracking it down. Again, for weeks, we got nothing. Till a young man came in to give a statement about an event he witnessed in Berksey Park. The event described to me seemed to imply that Lisa Cornell, an avatar of the buried, is in direct contact with the Butcher. Since then, we've been on red alert. Avatars of opposing entities interacting in a friendly manner only suggest one thing. They're aligning themselves with each other, for whatever reason, but it can't be good. Alex began planning to take a trip to Berksey Park. While I advised against it, they seemed pretty set on going. But before they could, something extremely unexpected happened. Pan had emerged from the lonely and was looking for work. I made sure they were certain before giving them the job, but they insisted. So I hired them. As I was leaving them with Alex to go and read a statement, they handed me one and said it was in the mailbox when they showed up. I read the first paragraph and stopped. It was from the Butcher. I told Elix to wait until we had read it before heading to the park. The very next day, we all sat in my office and read the disturbing tale. After we had done so, Elix headed to the park. They had been there for about 10 minutes before being knocked unconscious by the butcher and kidnapped. He somehow managed to escape, but not before being given a message for me. We are coming, and there's nothing you can do to stop us. And that's where we're at. Suppose this doesn't count as a statement, but regardless, I think you're satisfied. I haven't a clue why you wanted to hear all that. You're quite literally an all-seeing, omnipotent being of pure, unbridled fear. You're also not, you're not able to hear me. I'm talking to air right now. And recording.